Coast Salish people and acknowledge our allies within First Nations and the fact that the amount of damage that we've done, as the colonialists have done, just in a short period of time in the land base, which is part of the reason why we're here, because we're going to do what we can as allies to work to reverse that. So thank you. And I want to thank Serena and the Freeskool folks, and thank Camas Books for hosting this event, and everybody for coming out and passing the word along. I really appreciate it. Now everybody is here to find out how to stop a goddamn oil tanker, right?
Yeah.
We're here to find out, is anybody here for some other reason, to cause trouble, to hassle me, take issue with something? Because that can happen after the workshop. They schedule your own workshop for that. If anybody wants to respond at length, there's definitely time after 8 and or any other time here in Camas to respond at length to really discuss this, whether you agree with it or not. I may say things that people don't agree with. Apparently, the word "goddamn" is very controversial in some circles. We've been called out. There were a lot of other words that I could have used, but they wouldn't fit on the poster. They're all very long, ending in ing and stuff like that. And I was saying "goddamn oil tanker" because, it's outrageous. It's infuriating. People are angry about this, and they have every right to be angry. They certainly should be, And this is part of the reason why we're here. We're not talking to people who feel complacent about this issue. People are upset. I'm going to be talking about some stuff that dates way back and some stuff that's newer. So I have an excerpt of my review of Deep Green Resistance, which is a book. It's a collaboration. So people can pick up copies of that. We have a list of resources that people can use for direct action and campaign building. And we have little cards, and there's a sign-up sheet if you want to get announcements about the forthcoming workshops and August to northern BC to Wet'suwet'en territory. They've invited people in, so I encourage people to get on the announcement list for that. Yeah, so I'm Zoe Blunt. Like I said, I started doing environmental campaigns over 20 years ago. And so we've got some old school, we've got some new school, we've got some different perspectives here. And I am going to be asking people, this is an interactive workshop. I don't know necessarily what all the goals and outcomes and tactics and strategies are going to be. So I'm going to ask you guys to jump in and fill in some of the blanks on my outline. This is my PowerPoint. I hope everybody can see it. It's appropriate technology. So we're going to be talking about a lot of different. We're going to spend most of our time. We're going to have an overview first of all. Where are we at in terms of the overall campaign? Talk about how do we pick certain goals? How do we focus in on certain things in such a big issue? It's a huge issue. How do we know what goals are good? How do we know who are the best people to be working with and how to express that? How do we know who to target? What sort of opportunities do we have to reach decision makers and other people and things that might be targets. And we're going to the largest section is going to be about strategies and tactics, because I know that's, because everybody see, I think it might be behind the shelf over here. If I bring it out and turn it around a little bit. So so I'm going to, each of these is on a page, and if I reach the end of the page and you still have a question, then wave your hand at me, and we could stop and discuss. But if we keep it keep the response, kind of brief to keep things going and give everybody a chance. Like I said, if you want to respond at length, there's all kinds of room for that. So good, everybody's good with that? Okay. We're going to start with an overview. It's a very tall thing. This is old school stuff. This is how campaigns move through time, and how they grow and develop, and what sort of things happen. Along the top here we have business as usual. Second row is normal channels fail, conditions ripen, or support grows. Then we have an area called takeoff on this timeline. We have an area called activist failure after the takeoff. And we have growing support followed by success, followed by moving on. It's kind of interesting that sometimes activist failure comes before success. There's always a point in every campaign that I've worked on where we felt like this is just about doomed. They're kicking our asses, and yet we go ahead and win at the end. And so this blue line represents public awareness of the issue, and the red line is opposition to business as usual, and the black line is actual support for the alternatives that we're proposing. And this is taken from Bill Moyer's book in 1987. So the question is, where are we at now? And as far as if we're focusing on Enbridge, Northern Gateway, the pipelines in BC, where are we at now? Does anybody have any thoughts about what part of the chart are we in? Then I'll have to tell you.
Conditions ripen?
At least I'll give you my opinion. I think we're right around here, right around the area, very close to takeoff. We're there in other aspects of this campaign outside of BC. You may have to come down in front or up. I know nobody wants to be near me. I think my boots smell. In other areas, we've seen some takeoff happening, like in the States, where 800 people were arrested in Washington D.C., where they did succeed in stopping parts of the pipeline that was going through the States. Here, they haven't built the pipeline yet. I think we're going to see some trigger events. So when they talk about trigger events, they're talking about, you know, big public events. Sometimes planned, sometimes not planned. I've got a spot for you right down here. So I'm going to ask people to brainstorm for a minute here. What sort of trigger events are we going to be experiencing here in BC with regard to pipelines? There's a couple of things coming up. Anyway.
Well, with regards to actual building.
Building the pipeline?
Well, when they start crossing First Nations land and reach significant opposition there, that would be immediately and polarized in the lot.
Right, significant opposition when they start building the pipeline. You had your hand up?
They just recently voted that the Trans Mountain would be extended. The
Oh.
already existing one.
Is that the one to Burnaby?
Yeah.
Oh, Kinder Morgan, right, that's approved now. Other trigger events that might, yeah?
Decision on the environmental review.
Decision on the environmental review. And going along with that, the joint review panel is coming to Victoria in November, and it's going to be a big party. So these are events that are going to trigger public awareness. They're going to trigger protest and resistance, and by that, trigger public awareness, trigger opposition. We've seen the normal channels have failed. You know, we're being called terrorists just for having an opinion about stuff. We've got a couple of chairs back here. So this is, I think we're very close to some of these trigger events, and there might be others as well. So these are the classic phases of the campaign arc, so to speak. Does anybody think that we're somewhere else in this arc as far as here in BC?
If we were to follow like the awareness, then where would that be?
If you were to track awareness?
Yeah, or just in general, like the public.
I think public awareness is actually getting pretty high. I think maybe it has already taken off, you know, I could be wrong. There's still some chairs down here, you guys. There's two in the back here.
Yeah, come in, gather around.
Yeah, squeeze in. You can come right down in front if you want. I think so. It's possible that there's already been, you know, we're getting into the takeoff now, because public awareness is climbing really rapidly, and opposition to business as usual is climbing really rapidly right now. This chart might not be totally accurate.
So do you define trigger events as only events that are like negative in a sense? So it's something like
Not necessarily.
starting to build the pipeline, or it could be like when people actually stop them from starting the pipeline could be a trigger event.
Yeah, it might have been, maybe it was a trigger event when
There was the rally here.
there was a rally here that was big. It's kind of a trigger for us. Up in Bella Coola, this made national news when they canceled the hearing because they were so afraid of behavior.
Oh, no.
Kids.
So yeah, I think we're in this sort of trajectory here, and public opposition is growing, and people are finding that they really don't have a way to express that. We have a couple of chairs in here if you'd like to come and sit down. I'm afraid you have to come all the way down in front though, but at least there's no stairs to climb or anything like that. There's chairs right back here in the kids' corner. Thank you. Right on. So, again, the one thing I'm going to tell you though is that there is, there is no unified map. I think we all know this. There's no unified map. There's no blueprint. There's no guidebook that's going to tell us exactly which way to go, how to win. There are, we're going to need a little bit of everything, and that's why we're going to talk a lot about strategies and tactics and try and go at this from different ways. If we knew exactly what to do in every situation, we didn't have to worry about it. We'll just do it. But the important thing is to do something, which is why I'm glad to see this room so full today. So we can come back to that if anybody wants to revisit it. Just let me know or add to it. So we have this huge issue: pipelines, tankers, tar sands. We have a couple more chairs down in front. I'm afraid you might have to sit in the side view here. What sort of goals do we focus on? There's an old joke, I think it goes back to the old Roman Empire and Hannibal's elephants, and it says the joke was, they come across a dead elephant. It's like, oh gosh, I'm going to eat this elephant. The soldier says, I'm going to eat this elephant. How are you going to eat an elephant? One bite at a time. It's like you eat anything else. It's just a matter of breaking it down into those bite-sized pieces. I guess cooking it fast enough so it doesn't. The other thing I'm going to say is Rome wasn't burnt in a day. Rome was not burnt in a day. Say the barbarians at the gate. So we have to break things down. Otherwise we're just going to be flailing. And I'll tell you from doing campaigns that there's a lot of bad advice out there. People are more than willing to be really stupid advice, or maybe just not effective advice. Advise me to do things that aren't effective. So I want to focus on what's effective. I want to focus on what's going to win. We're here to stop a goddamn tanker, not to get on TV or win a popularity contest. So there's there's a lot of different goals within that. For some people, the ultimate goal might be something very different. Maybe the ultimate goal is world peace or global revolution or a green consumer revolution or an NDP majority. And the tar sands is just a step on the way to that, or vice versa. We still do have some seats down in front, and they're even comfortable seats. Or down in the left wing. And a lot of our goals also depends on what's our mission, what's our mandate, what's our philosophy. So if we're revolutionaries, then part of the goal might be, we want to have a global revolution someday. That's not going to be necessarily the focus of these goals here. But it's going to inform the choices that we make. If we're capitalists and we believe that capitalism will save the day, then obviously it's a green consumer revolution, and it's going to be windmills and solar power that's going to save the day, and that's our ultimate goal. And all that we do on the tar sands is going to be informed by that. It's going to be driven by that.